Srimad Bhagavatam class, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 6. Rishaya Ucha Tvaya Kalu Puranani Se Itihasani Kanaka Akhyanati Apya Aditani Dharma Shastrani Yanita Rishaya Ucha Tvakalu Puranani Se Itihasani Kanaka Akshayani Aditani Dharma Shastrani Yanita Rishaya Ucha Tvakalu Puranani Se Itihasani Kanaka Akhyayatani Apiyaditani Dharma Shastrani Yanita
Tvaya Kalu Puranani Seti Hasani Kanaga Akyatani Apyaditani Dhamma Shastrani Yanyuta Rishaya
Tvaya Kalu Puranani Seti Hasani Chanaka Akhyatanyapi Adhitani Dharma Shastrani Yanita
Rishaya Ucha
Tvaya
Kalu Puranani
Se Itihasani Kanaka
Akyatani Apyaditani
Dharma Shastrani Yanita
Rishaya Uchu Tvaya Kalu Puranani Seti Hasani Chanaga Akyatani Apyaditani Dharma Shastrani Yanyuta
Rishaya, the sages, Ucho said, Tvaya, by you, Kalu, undoubtedly, Puranani, the supplements of the Vedas and the illustrative narrations.
Supplements to the Vedas with illustrative narration.
Se Itihasani, along with the histories, Cha and Ananga, freed from vices, Akhya Yantani, explained, Api, although, Adhitani, well read, Dharma Shastrani, scriptures giving right direction to progressive life. Yani, all these, Uta, said. The sages said, Respected Sutta Goswami, you are completely free from all vices. You are well versed in all the scriptures, famous for religious life, and in the Puranas and the histories as well. For you have gone through them under proper guidance and have also explained them. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Swami Prabhupada ki. A Goswami or a bona fide representative of Srila Vyasadeva must be free from all kind of vices. The four major vices of Kali Yuga are illicit connection with women, animal slaughter, intoxication, speculative gambling of all sorts. A Goswami must be free from all of these vices before he can dare to sit on the Vyasa Asana. No one should be allowed to sit on the Vyasa Asana who is not spotless in character and who is not free from the above mentioned vices. He not only should be freed from all such vices, but must be well versed in all the revealed scriptures and in the Vedas. The Puranas are also part of the Vedas. And the histories like the Mahabharata or the Ramayana are also part of the Vedas. The Acharya or the Goswami must be well acquainted with all these literatures. To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Hearing is called Shravanam, and explaining is called Kirtana. The two processes of Shravana and Kirtana are the primary importance to progressive spiritual life. Only one who has properly grasped the transcendental knowledge from the right source by submissive hearing can properly explain the subject. Om Gyan Timidandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshuru Militanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is a really instructive verse from the Bhagavatam. We're in chapter 1 today, in Canto 1, chapter 1, verse 6. And the sages are requesting Sutta Goswami to repeat what he had heard from Sukadeva Goswami. And he is demonstrating the perfection of knowledge of hearing and repeating. He is somebody who's demonstrating that we have to not only hear that knowledge like Sutta Goswami, but also repeat that knowledge. We have to share that knowledge, and we have to share that knowledge perfectly. We have to hear perfectly and share perfectly. And Prabhupada mentions, I guess in this purport, there's three things that maybe I'll share with you today. I will share, and three things that Prabhupada is pointing to or directing us to. One is the sambandha, the perfection of hearing, shravana. When we hear, we are practicing that perfection of understanding our relationship, understanding the knowledge, and understanding who we are and what we need to do. Kirtana is our process, our practice. That's our day-to-day of what we do, how we live that knowledge, how we share that knowledge, how we breathe that knowledge, how we execute the knowledge that we've received. And once we receive that knowledge, then we receive that perfection. And that is our goal, is to achieve that perfection. We have sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana. And Prabhupada mentions here how Goswami must be well acquainted with all the literature, so we have to Shri Shri Gauratai ki, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Madhav ki, Krishna Balaram ki. So we have to understand what is the real purpose, the real purpose of becoming Goswamis, to become a part of this system of parampara, of sharing knowledge, hearing knowledge, and becoming somebody who can represent Srila Prabhupada's movement. So, yeah, Prabhupada has given us a very amazing process of how we can achieve this, and he's really simplified it for us. You see, this Bhagavatam, this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, normally you would find it very difficult to access, be very difficult to achieve. You would have to maybe go to the Himalayan mountains, you have to share it, you have to go to a rishi, it's really far, really difficult. But Prabhupada made it very easy for us. He's made it very accessible. These verses, these books that he shared, the knowledge, he's made it so succinct. Even on your phone, you can open up the Bhagavatam now and you can read the Bhagavatam. Just see how lucky we are. Just see how fortunate we are that we're able to hear this knowledge that is really difficult to understand, and we have to have certain qualities and qualifications, but within this age we have been able to receive it very much accessibly and easily. But just because we're receiving it easily and accessibly, that doesn't mean that we're going to grasp it easily and accessibly. We have to actually make the endeavor to internalize that knowledge and make that knowledge a part of our life. So, yes, we know the process. The process is hearing. What do we need to do? That's Shravanam. The lifestyle is our Kirtanam. How we do it. How do we live? What is our day-to-day? Always doing Kirtanam. And that will develop our character. Who we are and what we do, and we achieve that perfection. So when we talk about Shravanam, you see there's different ways of us receiving and what we do with the knowledge we're receiving. So on one level, you could just say, I'm just getting this information, right? So some people you could just see it, this is just information, it's good to know. Yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, great, good to know. You're not this body, nice, good to know. You are in the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease, fine, good to know. But we can't just... an even more intelligent person wouldn't just say, okay, good to know, but would actually go one step further and say, okay, I need to understand this. Okay, so if Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Krishna? Okay, I'm not this body, I'm the soul. What is the soul? Okay, birth, death, old age, disease. Okay, what is that? And why does this happen? So maybe I've got some understanding. But a more intelligent person doesn't just understand or get the information, but goes one step further and understands, values, and internalizes this. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wow. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What does that mean? Who is he? What does he do? What is he? How can I serve him? Okay, birth, what is the soul? Okay, the soul is eternal, Satchitananda, full of knowledge, full of bliss. Okay, Okay, birth, there's old age and disease. Okay, there is a process and you can come out of this. But actually the scriptures say is that an intelligent person not only hears that information, not only understands that information, not only has that wisdom to repeat and share that information, but actually the most intelligent person has the vision and foresight from that information. They're able to grasp it to such a level to understand and reflect what has been in the past, what's happened when I haven't seen Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what's happened in all my life that I've received this, but now also what can I change in my life? What action do I need to take? How can I implement what I have just heard? How can I make this my reality? When we say vision and foresight, it means I know now that if I am not practicing and really internalizing and doing the things that Krishna is asking me to do, then a certain reaction will happen. And if I do these things, then a certain reaction will happen. When you are able to internalize this knowledge to such that you will clearly see your future ahead of you, you will be able to see how can I change my life, how can I change my future, how can I change the trajectory of my life to the destination of this knowledge. You see, a lot of the times the world is just reacting. It's just making decisions and it's just reacting to certain situations. But when we hear this knowledge, we're not reacting, we're preempting. I know that if I act in a certain way, this will happen. I know if I act in a certain way, that will happen. And I know if I surrender to Krishna, then all my reactions are removed. If I surrender to Krishna, then ultimately I will become happy. So, if we can, when we're hearing this knowledge, Shravanam, and as devotees, it's very easy to just absorb the knowledge on a basic level, or just understand that knowledge, or maybe even just receive that knowledge because we feel like now we have wisdom. But we really have to take that one step further in understanding, okay, how can I change my vision and foresight? How can I change my future? How can I change my trajectory to really culminate all this knowledge and make it a part of my life, make it a part of my day-to-day, make it a part of my future? And that is actually what deep Shravanam is, where we can not only internalize the knowledge, churn the knowledge, apply the knowledge, then ultimately share the knowledge through realization. When we give class, why is every class not the same? Right? Prabhupada's giving class. Why don't we just hear Prabhupada's class? If we're in this class here, Prabhupada's giving it, he's the Acharya, we should just hear Prabhupada's class. Or why do we not just hear Vyasadeva? Right? Why is that? Because the Acharyas from the disciplic line of succession not only have they understood the knowledge, they've contemplated that knowledge, they've grasped it, and then they've lived it practically, and then they've internalized it. Internalized it in such a way that they're sharing these realizations, and these realizations are coming from a deep space, and every time somebody shares that realization, that knowledge then enters our heart in a deeper space, and it's for us to then have that realization in our life. You see, Krishna is so special, he's so magical, that what he will do is, in your personal life, he will give you the realization that you need to hear. Yeah? He will tell you, hey, what you did wasn't such a good thing, and then if you keep doing it, this is going to happen. And then you will ultimately have that realization, and Krishna is so sweet that he will show up in your life at different parts to give you that knowledge, to give you that realization. And the more you contemplate, the more you can churn that knowledge and speak from realization and share it, that's when you've achieved that perfection. That's when you can really give that knowledge to others. And that's why when we hear the Bhagavatam classes, that's where we hear the knowledge from different people, people are speaking from their realizations. Yes, it's according to Shastra. Yes, it's according to the line of disciplic succession. But you're speaking from realization. And why is that so important? Why is speaking from realization so important in our movement, in our Krishna consciousness, in all the teachings of Krishna, all the teachings of what we learn? The reason it's so critical and the reason it's so aligned with our philosophy is when we speak from realization, is we're speaking from personal realization. You see, Krishna is a person. He's not energy. He's not Brahman. And Krishna is speaking from. So when we connect with Krishna, we're speaking personally. What is my personal realization? Right? What is my personal situation? What have I personally understood from this? Because Krishna is a person. He's a personality of Godhead. So we have to have that personal realization. And the more personal our realization is, the more personal we can make it, the more deeper that realization is going to be. Right? So therefore, when we hear, we have to try and personalize that information. Okay? So when I'm hearing a class, when I'm hearing Prabhupada, when I'm reading, when I internalize that Shravanam, it's not only about just hearing it, but how can I personally apply this to my life? How can I make it relevant to me? What is Krishna teaching me? Has anybody in the Bhagavatam class or attended a session and they feel like that class was just meant for them? Like this is exactly what they needed to hear, right? Often that happens, right? we hear that and it's like, wow, this is just what I needed to hear. Krishna's telling me, speaking through me through this Bhagavatam. And that happens a lot. It happens. Why? Because Krishna's personal. And if we're feeling that, that means we're doing the right thing. We're feeling that the class is speaking to me, this is what I really needed to hear. And that means we're hearing correctly. That is the real process of Shravanam. Is how do we internalize that knowledge? How do we make it really our own? How can we apply it? And it requires contemplation. It requires reflection. It requires deep understanding. After we read something, do we have space to digest it? It's like food. You eat the food, you chew the food, and then you digest it. So we have to have that time, that space to digest that food, to internalize that food. And there's many different things that we can do to internalize what we need to hear. One of the ways of internalizing, actually there's different ways of internalizing, but probably the biggest way of how do we make sure that that knowledge goes into that deep space and we internalize that knowledge? What's that one practice that we do every single day that helps us really internalize that knowledge and is that foundation of that knowledge to grow? What is that one daily practice that Prabhupada asks us to do when we take initiation? Chanting. Japa, yeah. When we do japa, japa is the ultimate way of us actually allowing that knowledge to enter that deep space, right? That is what's going to give us the vision and foresight. When we chant, when we form that relationship with Krishna, and that is because when we're chanting, we are becoming personal with Krishna. Krishna is there with us personally. And when we call Krishna personally, Krishna then allows that knowledge for us to become a reality of what I need to hear. How can I apply that? Once we often do these classes on the Bhagavad Gita. We have a lot of programs, and one one of the students messaged me on WhatsApp, and he said, "Oh, I really love the Bhagavad Gita classes. You guys are really great. It's been so good. It's been so helpful. But I think that now you guys have gone bonkers." And I said, "Okay, why do you think we've gone bonkers? Why do you think we're crazy?" He goes, "It was all good up until now, but then you guys started bringing in this chanting business. You started making us chant, and you started singing Hare Krishna, and then you started making us do this japa. Why can't you just share the knowledge, and it's up to people, if they want to take it or not?" And it was quite funny actually, because he goes, "You guys are gone crazy." And I was like, "Yeah, we are crazy. We're crazy for Krishna." But I then replied to him, and I said, "My dear friend, we are sharing this knowledge, but it's not just knowledge to be shared, it's knowledge to be applied. This isn't just armchair philosophy we're trying to give you. This is practical knowledge. And without practical knowledge, what is the point? Why do you need it? Why do I just want to give you this knowledge? No, it's not just about giving you this knowledge for the sake of it, but it's about giving this knowledge so you can have an impact in your life. You can change your life. Right? Many people in this room, why are you here? Because the process has changed your life. Because you feel it. Because you feel it's real. You feel it works. It's effective. It's a science. Yes. It's a science of Krishna consciousness. And the hypothesis is there, the practical is there, and you get the result. And part of that science is chanting. So chanting is really Prabhupada, when he asks us to take initiation, he sets only one vow that you commit to. Okay, yes, Prabhupada says we should read, we should listen, we should attend morning program, we should associate with devotees, we should distribute books. All of these things yes. But that one vow that you take in the initiation, the other ones are the do nots. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no sex. But the do's, one do is chanting. Chanting every day, 16 rounds. So therefore, that's how important chanting is. It is actually the most important for the development of our Krishna consciousness. Because Prabhupada knew that if my devotees chant every day 16 rounds, then they will make it. I will personally take them. That's it. You just chant 16 rounds attentively. And everything we do outside of them 16 rounds is to help us chant them 16 rounds. When you do service, right? If you're doing service and you're arguing with someone and it's disturbing your chanting, maybe that's not the right service. Maybe something needs to change. If you're listening to music and your music is distracting you while you're chanting, that's not the right music. Right? When we listen to music, we don't listen to music, we listen to kirtan, we listen to classes. When we eat food, why do we eat sattvic food? Why do we eat prasad? Why? Because it affects our consciousness. If it affects our consciousness, why do we need the best consciousness? To have the best chanting. When we associate with devotees, right? Good association. What does that mean? It means we're associated in a way that we feel nourished, we feel loved. So then when we are chanting, we can remember Krishna. We're not disturbed. So ultimately, that's what it comes down to. How can we perfect our connection with Krishna? How can we become personal with Krishna? That is what the process of Shravanam is teaching us. And why is Krishna teaching us this? Yesterday we talked about the education system, the school system. See, this is the eternal education system. This is the eternal system of Krishna, the spiritual knowledge, spiritual school. And Krishna says, if you want to be a good student, you need to have certain qualities. You need to be in a certain way. You need to have a good heart. You need to be non-envious. You need to be devoted. And if you're able to do this through purifying yourself through the process of chanting, so when we chant, all the anarthas come up. All the unwanted qualities come up. You will see when you chant 16 rounds, all of these things will start manifesting. You're like, what's going on? But it's to purify our heart. It's to purify the things. Why? So that we can go deeper into our bhakti, we can go deeper into our connection. Krishna wants you to come back. Krishna wants you to love you. But at the minute, there's a disconnect. Why? Because there's all these anarthas still in our heart. And he wants that to then be removed. Right? He wants that to then change. When Krishna says in chapter 4 of the Gita, when one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving this body, take his birth again in the material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna. So that is ultimately our aim, right? And Krishna gives us this formula to remove our karma, to remove all the reactions from the activities that we're performing. Okay? When Krishna Balarama, I think eternally present in New Vrindavan, and when Krishna, New Mayapur, and when Krishna and Balarama are outside here in New Mayapur and they're playing the flute, and the cows, you can see them in the hills. So when Krishna is there and he wants the cows to come back, what does he do? What does Krishna do when he wants the cows to come back?
Plays the flute.
He plays the flute, yes. He beautifully plays the flute. What else does he do?
Blows a conch.
Blows a conch, yes.
Calls their names.
Calls their names, yes. And there's one more. The cows still don't come back. What does he do?
He chases them with a stick.
Yes, he chases them with a stick. This is the life of Krishna. And what's amazing is Krishna does this in the spiritual world, but actually he does this to us in the material world. When Krishna wants us to come back to him in the spiritual world, first he calls our name. Right? He tells us just by giving us the instruction. You need to do this, you need to chant, you need to come back to me, and you need to surrender. But often, we don't want to come. Often, hearing is not enough. So what does Krishna do? He plays the flute, right, very sweetly. And he will demonstrate it by showing you in your life, experiences, people around you. You know, alcohol is bad. Okay, you can see alcoholics. Okay, people in the material world, you can see they're still suffering. You know, they're not able to enjoy. They're enjoying is temporary. Their behaviors are temporary. Their happiness is temporary. Still, if we are not able to grasp it by seeing, what does he do? He blows the horn loudly. We experience the reaction, right? We do the negative, we get the negative. We do the good thing, we surrender. Krishna is there for us. So when he blows that horn, we can actually experience what is that reaction happening to me. We become humble. Yesterday I was saying we become. Life teaches us that lesson. But what happens if we still don't understand? If we still experience it and we're still suffering? What does Krishna have to do?
Bring the stick.
He has to bring the stick. Yeah, he has to bring the stick. And the stick is us coming back into the material world. Coming back here again. Right? He has no choice. He doesn't want us to come back again. He doesn't want us to take birth again. Is taking birth a nice thing? you're stuck in a womb for such a long time, for 9 months. You're a baby, you're crying, you don't understand what's going on, you're dependent, and who knows what kind of birth we're going to get next. Who knows what it's going to be like? We don't know. So then Krishna really takes that stick for us and tries to show us again. Yeah, we're still not going to be able to be covered. We're still not going to come back. And that is really like what Shravanam is he's trying to help us understand through the processing of hearing, because that is the first class hearing. Shravanam is a first class hearing. And if you want to change your life, you have to not only hear that knowledge, internalize it, apply it, share it through realization, because you've practically lived it, and you get the vision and foresight. And if you're able to do that, you can remove your karma, you can remove your reactions, you can end that process of coming back here again and again, and you can ultimately reach that point of surrender where you're not suffering, where you're not going through difficulties, where you're ultimately reaching happiness. So what we should do as devotees, and hearing is important. We should hear, we should live, and then we should give to others. Okay? When you share, that's when you really remember. That's why giving a class is actually the best service, the best way to understand a verse. The best way to understand the Bhagavatam is when you share it. So we have these projects. We have one project called Think Gita, and it's a process. It's a sub project with Swayam Bhagavan Kesha Swami. And what we've done is we've tried to empower as many people as possible to become teachers. And actually, that is one of the project's biggest success, is that we train people to try and share the knowledge of the Gita and give them a platform of sharing, right? Because when they're able to share, they're really actually able to learn the Gita deeply. I personally find that I've done the course many times, and when I'm sharing, I actually get the most benefit. Why? Because I'm churning that knowledge in my mind, I'm looking at examples, and if I'm sharing this knowledge, I need to be living it as well. So then, often than not, an example will come into your life when you're actually practicing or trying to understand that knowledge, that situation may come up in your life. So sharing is actually the best way. And what do we share? Some people may say, I don't know anything. I don't know anything to share. There was when Prabhupada was there was the first Krishna conscious baby child. Her name was Saraswati. And Saraswati would go around to all the devotees, and all she knew how to say was, Krishna is God. Right? That's the only thing she knew how to say. She was a toddler. Krishna is God. Krishna is God. Prabhupada, Krishna is God. And Prabhupada then told the devotees that this is the perfection of preaching. Saraswati is just sharing what she knows. Right? So when we're sharing, we share what we know. Right? We know enough. So whether you're sharing with your friends, your family, or whether you're giving a class, ultimately we have to share that knowledge if we want to internalize it. That is our kirtanam. And that surrender, that our kirtanam is not only just an external thing, right? It's not only our lifestyle, our practice, the process, but it's also an internal thing as well. That internal surrender. Thinking of Krishna all the time. The mind, the heart, the ego, all dedicated to Krishna. When we are able to do that, then it's what we are saying is the kirtanam, is what we're saying is our practice, is what we're trying to achieve. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to share? We do all this preaching, we do this bridge preaching, we do this outreach projects. What are we trying to share with them? Ultimately, we're sharing to them hey, this isn't where your happiness is. You're not going to be happy in this material world. The real happiness happens in the spiritual world. In Vrindavan, where the gopas, the cowherd boys, they plant vegetables with love. And these vegetables are cooked with love by Mother Yashoda and Radharani, who prepares a different dish for Krishna every single day. And then they pack Krishna a lunch. And Krishna takes that lunch and he goes to the fields of Vrindavan and he shares it with his cowherd boyfriends. And they sit together and they eat together and they laugh and they joke. And everything in the spiritual world is saturated with love. Krishna, Radharani, the gopis, the gopas, Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, everything is ultimately done with love. And this is what we're ultimately trying to seek. We're trying to seek that love, and that is the eternal love. And this is the experience we're trying to give to people. This is what we're trying to help people understand. Firstly, by understanding ourselves, and then being able to practice this. And this is how we can ultimately try and reach that perfection. If we really want to be, Prabhupada talks about Goswami. Goswami, when Prabhupada was, I think somebody said to Prabhupada, and I'll just try and get this right. He said, Prabhupada, we think that you are the, what did he say? You are the next Acharya, but you are the next Goswami? No, Mahajan. Did he say Mahajan? What was it?
I think it says Satya Vishal.
Yeah, but there was one thing, you are the next, is it Mahajan? Or you are the, how many, so we have, I think it was you are the next Mahajan. I think it was that. I'll check again, but I think it's Prabhupada, I think we believe you are the next Mahajan. And Prabhupada said, yeah, great. And you could be one after me. You could be the next. So Prabhupada tried to make it not so. The point is, Prabhupada not make it like he tried to make it so empowering all of us that we can achieve that state. We can achieve that perfection. It's possible. It's possible in this life. You know, Prabhupada tried to make it as easy as possible for us. And it wasn't that only Prabhupada said, oh no, I'm the only one who's become a pure devotee. You can also become a pure devotee. Right? Prabhupada wanted us to do that. He wanted us to receive that, to get to that stage. And how can we really, how do we receive that internal consciousness? How do we become that idea of becoming a Swami or becoming a sannyasi or achieving that perfection? It's not just that. Prabhupada doesn't say, just because if you take sannyas, you're wearing orange clothes, that is a sannyasi or that is a Goswami. No, actually what it really means, the real sannyasi or a real renunciate is somebody who gives up the thought of enjoying this world, gives up the thought of trying to control in this world. One who understands that I am not the enjoyer, I am not the controller. Krishna is my best friend, and then if we can internalize that Krishna is my best friend, I am not the enjoyer, I am not the controller. And when one gives up that idea of enjoying and controlling, then one can feel more and more contentment. We have to really understand that I am not the controller. Okay, I can do my best, I can share, I can do this, but ultimately, I have to leave it to Krishna. Ultimately, and the more and more we understand that I have to leave it to Krishna, I have to surrender. Okay? Why do I take so much tension? Why do I take so much austerity? Why does my mind worry so much? If Krishna is the ultimate controller and he's my best friend, then he's going to take care. All I need to do is surrender. And what's amazing and the most beautiful thing about this is when you surrender, when you're able to give up the desires to become selfish and become selfless, you actually experience more happiness, more bliss, you become more content, you become more fulfilled. And then by your love, Krishna becomes controlled by you. Krishna becomes controlled by his devotees. Krishna is driving the chariot of Arjuna. Right? Krishna becomes Arjuna's charioteer, Parthasarathi. Right? Krishna is there ultimately saying, hey, you've given up everything for me. You've given me so much love. Now I have no choice. Because you've conquered me through your love. Mother Yashoda conquered Krishna through her love. Radharani conquered Krishna through her love. The gopis of Vrindavan. Krishna says, I'm indebted to the gopis of Vrindavan. When Krishna had a headache, Narad Muni came to Krishna and Krishna said, I have a headache. And Narad said, oh, how can we alleviate your headache? And Krishna said, only the dust on the feet of my pure devotee will alleviate my headache. So Narad Muni went around to all of the devotees, to Shiva, to I think Uddhava, and different devotees he went around to. And all of them said, no, I can't take this sin. If I take the sin of putting the dust of my feet on Krishna's head, like how can I perform such a sin? I'll go to hell. And finally Narad Muni went to the gopis. And Narad Muni told the gopis that, hey, Krishna has a headache. We need the dust of your feet. Krishna has a headache? Really? Oh my God, he must be suffering so much. Narad Muni, please take the dust right now. We're prepared to go to hell for millions and millions of years. If it relieves Krishna's headache even for a moment, this will make us happy. And through that real sincerity, that devotion, that surrender, that headache, that the idea of Krishna's headache being relieved is way more important to the gopis. And that's what's conquered Krishna. They have that real surrender. So we can have that surrender as well. We can have that love as well for Krishna, but really we have to learn to give ourselves, surrender ourselves. And that is the process. So first we have to hear. That is Shravanam. That is our Sambandha. What is our relationship? What do we need to do? How do we hear? We internalize our knowledge. We try to make it perfect. We try to internalize it in such a way that not only are we hearing through understanding, through wisdom, but actually to have that vision and foresight to perfect it. Once we have that knowledge, we practice that knowledge through kirtanam, remembering Krishna, sharing that knowledge. When we're able to share that knowledge, we're able to live that knowledge, we're able to practice that knowledge in a day-to-day way where we make it real in our life. You're all here in this beautiful temple, you're attending morning program, you're attending this class, you're going to eat prasad, you're going to do services, you're going to preach. You're going to preach not only through speaking, but also through your actions, through your character, how you behave, how you conduct yourself. And then you're going to internalize that knowledge, and then you'll reach that perfection. You'll reach that ultimate state of perfection where you can grasp that knowledge, where you can become somebody who is reached that state of surrender to Krishna, surrender to the Lord, and ultimately, that stage of going back to home, back to Godhead. This is what we're trying to achieve. This is the aim. There's no doubt about it. There's no beating around the bush. This world is not a nice place. This world is a place of suffering. We have many evidences for this. And this movement of Krishna consciousness is there to help us go back to the spiritual world, to make progress. And this is what the acharyas like. Here we have Sutta Goswami. He's giving us a perfect example of perfecting that knowledge through hearing, internalizing, and then sharing. So we have to follow in this footstep. And if we're able to do that, then ultimately we will achieve that state. So yeah, maybe we can see if there's any questions or comments or reflections before we finish. Any realizations?
I want to ask about the guitar. What was it? Live course? I know, I was studying guitar. Is it just online?
Yeah, it's an online course. It's based off Maharaj's content, and we break it down, so chapter by chapter, and it's, anybody can become a teacher. Anyone who's a devotee can become a teacher.
How is that working? Like you said, then you will be given a platform. Like, is it online?
Yeah, we have an online platform.
So you will be give class online after you did the course, or
yes?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we give you a teacher. There's two courses: a teacher training course, and then there's also a course that you can attend. But for devotees, we do the teacher training course. So you do the teacher training course, and then we set you up with a program, a class, and you can then come on and teach. Dhananjaya Prabhu is someone who's quite active here, so you can connect with him. And I think he has a French group, I believe, and they have regular meetings. And you can start your own group, or maybe with Dhananjaya Prabhu you can get more devotees in. And it's a really good way of giving people Krishna consciousness in a systematic way. It's not so, it's very simple, it's very easy to understand. Gita is a great book for people to learn at the beginning. And I think the way the Gita is such a way that everything we need to know is summarized in the Gita, like very nicely, especially on that foundational level. Yeah, so if you wanted to join, then we can connect you. Any other comments, questions, anything that came up from the class?
I just wanted to say that's very beautiful how you say about Krishna's playing the flute. I never saw it like that. That he's playing the flute, and it's very sweet because it's his mercy, so that we understand the material world. The sequence of the material world. So I never compared it like this. So thank you for saying that.
Credit goes to Kesha Swami. So yeah, it's a beautiful way of thinking about it. I think this is really important that we share with people about Krishna, and like our philosophy is the example is very nice because we can remember Krishna. Yeah, very fortunate. Krishna is merciful. We have the problem of not listening. Actually, it is difficult. But I guess you're lucky because you're in this environment. You're staying in this temple. You're here. You're surrounded by the devotees. It's actually hard there in the material world. It's very difficult. So many things are going on. So many distractions. Family members, people, friends. This often. That's why we try to always associate with devotees. Stay safe. Whatever you do, don't leave. I think this is a real safe haven. You can feel the real spiritual energy. Or keep coming back here. Anything else from anyone? I think everyone hungry for breakfast now. Okay. Rasa Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Shri Prabhupada ki.